The All Blacks will be playing host to the Springboks at the fortress that is Eden Park out in Auckland. The hosts have a proud record to maintain at the stadium where they have not been beaten for 31 years. The Springboks, on the other hand, have two records that they would love to walk away with. One is to be the first team since Phillipe's St. Andre's French team to win at Eden Park since 1994, and the second is a 5-match winning streak against their biggest rivals in world rugby. Now, to preview this match, we've roped in fresh eyes in the form of rugby analyst Puledi Manamela. Puledi, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Sports on Winning Live.
Good morning, Vusiwe, and good morning to the viewers.
So, Puledi, first up, we look at the teams that have been released by both coaches and minimal changes made on both sides. But one would say, if you look at it, it seems as though they are going back to factory settings. With that in mind, which team do you think is likely to have the edge in this one if they both stick to what we know to be their DNA?
Look, New Zealand is a tough fixture. It's a difficult fixture for anyone in the world. They hardly lose in New Zealand. So if you look at it, if you look at both teams, the Springboks have they've gone a 5-3 split, and New Zealand has gone for a 5-3 split. The key factor here, Vusiwe, is that most of us must expect a kicking game from both teams. New Zealand comes out of a loss against Argentina. We didn't do so well against Australia. We've gone back to factory settings, as you say. So I'm looking at a tight game that's going to go down to the wire for the last 2 or 3 minutes.
And speaking about that tight game going down to the wire for the last 2 or 3 minutes, then we have to start speaking about the coaches, because when you look at a Scott Robertson, despite that lofty ranking that New Zealand has, when you look at what he's been able to do with the team, it does seem like those in England have more questions than answers when it comes to him and what he's done when leading the team. Why would you say that's the case, Puledi? Because it seems many just not having that much faith in Robertson.
I think Robertson, the one thing about him is he comes into this job with a transition. A lot of players have retired from New Zealand. The Reeds of this world, the Macaws have left, the Carters have left. The golden generations of New Zealand rugby has left. And now he has to deal with the transition, which we will come to in a year or two with Rassie. But that transition is quite difficult because now you're blending new players with experience that's been here, playing test match level rugby with teams like South Africa, England, New Zealand, and England and Ireland. It's quite difficult. So Razor comes into a team where he has to build his own structure, he has to build his own game model, and it's quite difficult. And losing to Argentina didn't help. He is going to be under pressure if he loses this game at Fortress Eden Park.
And as we then start speaking about the players, we have Siya Kolisi coming back a week earlier than expected to face his old friend, Adi, who will certainly be motivated in his 100th test. So when you look at that, in terms of physicality, can we neutralize this All Black side when it comes to that collision point?
Yeah, that's going to be difficult because we don't have a natural 8. Jasper Wiese, as you will know, he got a red card in that game against Italy. Now we have Siya coming in a week earlier, as you said, and Jean-Luc Dupré, one feels for him because last week, 2 weeks ago against Australia, he had a stomach bug and couldn't start the game. And today he can't start the game again. So Siya doesn't go in as captain because it's precautionary measures from Rassie to make sure that Siya can at least last a little bit of the game. He is going to put his body on the line, but it's quite difficult not to have an out-and-out 8. We don't have a ball carrier as big as your Jasper Wiese. We've only got Peter Steph Titoy, who's a big loose forward there. You know, Marco van Staden will be playing the other loose forward, and Kwagga Smith will come on. But Siya will give us a good 30 to 40 minutes if he's been approved fit. And obviously, for him not being captain is only precautionary, provided anything happens between now and the game.
And we look at the depth that the Springboks team has, so much so that you have an Archia Snyman that doesn't make the 23. And when you look at the players that Rassie has given opportunities in the last 2 years or so, would you say beyond this match there's still an opportunity for him to experiment a bit, or should he just now find his 23 moving forward?
I think Rassie's caught in the middle right now, and I think I had a look just before I spoke to you at the team, and the team's got the youngest player in the team is obviously Kanan Moody at 22. But if you look at it, there's only two players in their 20s. It's Jasper, it's him, it's Kanan Moody and a 26-year-old. The rest of the players are over the age of 30, which means that he's gone back to his trusted soldiers and he knows what he gets with the Paulards of this world, the Eben Etzebeth of this world, the Oxenchairs of this world. He knows exactly what he's going to get. Rassie needs to start obviously transitioning to the younger players. I know that it's quite difficult when you lose some games in between, but he is trying to find the balance. It's quite difficult to find the balance when the game model is also changing with Tony Ball. We've seen against Australia 2 weeks ago, we played a lot of the Tony Ball. It really doesn't work. We need to go back to our DNA. We need to go back to our DNA. Maul hard, line outs, bomb it up in the air, make sure that our defense is second to none. And our defense is bothering me a little bit. We're leaking in way too many tries. So he has to tighten, and he does feel that tightening that defense is bringing in a 36-year-old Willie Leroux who's going to marshal at the back, come in as a second 10 as well, a second receiver, because Pollard is more of a kicking fly half. So there's a lot more going back to what he knows to make sure that our defense is tight, because that's the biggest bother.
Oh, Puledi, so lovely chatting to you this morning and just getting your insight and you just dispensing those pills of wisdom when it comes to what we can expect tomorrow. Of course, South Africa taking on New Zealand out at Eden Park, and of course, Coach Rassie Erasmus, they are the defending champions, will be looking to secure their second victory out in this rugby championship.